Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Now today I'm going to be doing a video with Twisted Fate using Electrocute. Now obviously we all know that Twisted Fate got buffs to his blue card and his red card, so I thought it'd be really interesting to do another video using Electrocute since all my past videos I've either used Comet or Unsealed Spellbook. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, we get into the details, I kind of want to give you a little bit of an overview about what are we going to cover within this video. Now, guys, in the comments or in the Discord, I always get questions saying things like this. I played this game where, I played really well, got fed in the early game, and then, around 15-20 minutes, my team starts inting, they start flaming, they don't listen to my calls, and then I just lose the game. Why do I always get bad teammates? Guys, the huge thing that I want to reiterate within this video is I kind of want to highlight all of the things that you can be optimizing within your own gameplay. So you're not even going to start thinking about anyone else's gameplay. All you're going to think about is, oh my god, look how poorly I played this game. Look how many things I can refine within my gameplay. Why would I waste my energy thinking about what my teammates did when I'm playing at like 20% capacity in terms of my own champion or my own level of play. I'm going to be talking about things within this video like tethering, skill shots, warding, tempo, mid-game shot calling, all of these mid fundamentals in mid concepts that aren't just specific to Twisted Fate, but are specific to every single mid champion. And guys, when you understand all of the things that you can potentially improve on in your own gameplay, you're going to feel a lot more empowered. You're going to feel a lot more in control of your games, and you're going to get a lot less tilted. And people always ask me, like, Curtis, how do you never get tilted even when your team's behind? It's because I know. I contributed to this in little ways. I didn't play perfectly. My first 10 minutes, I make so many mistakes in the first 5 minutes every single game, or there's little ways I can optimize that will prevent this sort of thing from happening. So again, it's all about focusing on what's in your control, and that's what I really want to highlight within this video. Now, before we get into the laning phase, let's quickly talk about Electrocute versus Unsealed Spellbook. Now, you may ask, when do you take each one? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Now, Electrocute, when you take Electrocute, you have to have the mindset that you're going to win mid-jungle 2v2. So generally, Electrocute is taken when you're versing a low-range champion where you can reliably proc Electrocute a lot within the laning phase. And also, your mid-jungle, your jungle's going to be able to play towards you. Maybe they're playing more of an aggressive style jungler. They're not just playing a farm-oriented jungler. So you're going to be able to take those 2v2 skirmishes. On the other hand, if you want to play more for scaling, more for minimizing laning phase, playing for your power spikes, playing for a more utility-based champion, then Unsealed Spellbook is the rune choice for you. Now, something to note is that a lot of Twisted Fate's matchups, Unsealed Spellbook is a really, really good way to minimize because TF actually doesn't have many favorable matchups. And even if you take Electrocute, you're just going to get yourself into trouble because you don't even win the 1v1. Then you're going to be thinking that you win the 2v2, but you're going to be so low, then things are going to get out of control. You're going to die. And then you just basically turn into a stun bot that doesn't really do that much damage anyway. So I recommend you guys, and I'm going to use Electrocute within this VOD and kind of show you how you got to change your playstyle, play a little bit more aggressively. But for my biggest recommendation, guys, is try both. And once you understand Twisted Fate enough, you're going to be like, you know what, this is actually a pretty good Electrocute game. And you know what, this is actually a pretty good Unsealed Spellbook game. And you will get to know and feel out when you should take either one. You shouldn't just look at it in a binary way. Okay, guys? So diving straight into this one, this was a VOD where I was playing versus a Lissandra. And I actually had a Rek'Sai jungle. So look at the boxes that are ticked. I'm versing a low range mage, and I've also got an aggressive jungler. I opted in for Cleanse versus Lissandra, obviously because Lissandra is extremely CC reliant. So diving straight in. And I'm going to go very detailed within this VOD, guys. And remember, if you're maybe a lower elo player, yes, this may be a little bit overwhelming. But the main point of this video, guys, is to highlight all the things that you can work on. And I will talk a little bit about this video, how you would go about it as well. And you remember, guys, you only got to focus on one thing at a time if you focus on one of these things. So you may ask, why am I already hitting this minion? Well, when you play any lower range matchup, it feels very bad for these sorts of champions to get pushed in. Because again, I've said this in a lot of my videos, if they're getting pushed in, then it's a lot harder for them to use their abilities on me, and they're going to have to start using their abilities and direct their attention on the minions, which again creates trading opportunities for me. So I'm trying to get a little bit of a minion advantage and try and get the shove onto this Lissandra, also knowing that if I get the shove, I'm also going to get level 2 first, so I can take a very favorable trade early on. Something to note, guys, is that I know that I'm quite safe to shove early on because Sylas isn't a level 2 ganking jungler, and I also know that Rek'Sai is a lot stronger than Sylas in the early game as well. So this is already things that I'm already thinking about. I'm not just mindlessly shoving this wave. Now, another thing that's interesting is notice how I've already straight away, I separated myself from the minion wave. I didn't just stand over here in the middle of minion wave. So Lissandra opted in to queue here. Right, he queued the wave. So he can't queue me and the wave, he had to make a choice. So he ended up queuing the wave. Now what did this allow me to do? This allows me to walk forward aggressively with my card and force him off the minion wave to stop him from auto attacking so I can start to get back my minion advantage. And the reason I choose red card, guys, is because red card is a really, really nice niche little way of getting extra poke, because if this guy respects and tethers me, I can actually use my red card on a minion that's close to the Lissandra and potentially get some damage off. So that's what I actually try to do there. So it simultaneously helps me shove and also allows me to potentially get some poke off with that red card radius. So I'm auto attacking. I'm trying to get the shove. Now notice as well, just look at my straight positioning as well in the lane. I'm not standing back here. I'm not standing in the middle of the minion wave. I'm always trying to stand outside of the minion wave. I'm always trying to position myself up aggressively in the lane, knowing that I'm happy to trade. I know I'm happy. I already have the minion advantage. This guy also really wants to auto attack the minions and use Q on the minions. And if he trades Q for Q with me, that's completely fine because I will probably come out ahead of that trade given that I can take gold card, auto attack, and then run away. Plus the minion advantage is really, really good for me anyway. So I'm just really positioning in a way that's preventing him from freely auto attacking the minion wave. Oh, and actually this is a neat little trick as well, guys. I want to talk a little bit about this. So notice here how I actually just pick a card, and I don't pick one at all. I just hold it, and I actually auto attack the minion, and then I walk up, and then I get the W. It's a nice little trick here. A lot of people get in the habit of when they use their pick a card, they instantly like pick a blue card or something. They'll pick a card, and then they're like, oh wait, oh, do I use it on them or do I use it on the minion? And then you realize you're just going to have to waste your card on a minion. Then this guy's going to be able to walk up and CS freely. But notice when I do this, I don't pick a card. I auto attack the minion. Then I can walk up and then blue card. So it's a neat little trick there of being able to get a nice exert threat without actually doing anything. And again, notice my positioning. I'm standing all the way ahead of the minions here, so he can't get anywhere near. Exerting my dominance on the lane. Throwing red cards like that. I want to talk a little bit about that as well. So he walks up here. Something that's super interesting. And when you get better, this will get refined over time, is that I know which minion he's already looking at. And when I want to break down when I see this. So I'm looking at my minions right now. So I get this minion here. And then I know that I'm looking actually at this one right now. But in the back, as soon as I get this minion, my attention is looking at these ones. Which one is he actually looking to go for? So in my mind, I already know this Lissandra is going to look to potentially walk up soon to auto attack or Q this caster creep. So now, in my mind, I'm looking to pick a card here. So then I can make Lissandra make a choice between hitting a minion, or taking a Q to the face like that. Really, really solid stuff here, guys. Now I get level 2 advantage. And remember, guys, that level 2 is always off the first melee off the second wave. So look at this. This is the first melee. I start to walk up aggressively already. And then I'm able to zone this Lissandra really quite effectively here. Now, I actually feel like here this was a mistake. I feel like this was an opportunity right now where I should actually hold my my card here and just auto attack this one, but leave it flicking through so I can exert a little bit more threat. But I think in the moment I thought that I was in range to get a blue card. That's why I just picked it straight away. If you are getting free poke in lane, guys, you want to be doing it with blue card because that's the most damage. Now, again, just zoning as much as I can, trying to get as much poke off as I can, keeping my mana topped up. Having to use Q there because I was going to miss that CS. Now, this is actually another neat little trick here. And now I know that Lissandra's going to walk up for this creep, so I try to do the instant pick a card auto attack, but my auto goes through before my W. Look at this. So I had to do the instant W, but I think I autoed too early. So that's another neat little trick you can do, is just walk up instant W and get a nice little stun card or any card just to get some poke off quickly. Now, people may ask, Curtis, right now, are you really vulnerable? It's 2 minutes 37. It's 2 minutes 37. And in your previous videos, you've said that junglers can be, level 3, ready to gank, from as early as 2 minutes 30 to like 2 minutes 40. Now, I was aware of this in the game. And it may sound ridiculous, but I promise you I was aware of this in the game. Notice how I'm leaning a little bit onto the top side. I know that Sylas started bot side, but more importantly, I know that I have a pretty significant minion advantage. So I know if Sylas comes here, or even if he does, maybe he does come from top side, I know that I'm pretty safe, given that there's two reasons. My Rek'Sai's in the area. Rek'Sai is a lot stronger than Sylas in the early game, so I'm thinking about the mindset of Sylas, that Sylas doesn't really want to get counter-ganked in the early game because he knows that Rek'Sai is going to be quite active, he's going to be in the area. Rek'Sai actually hasn't showed on the map yet, so Sylas actually doesn't even know where Rek'Sai is, so it'd be really incredibly risky, and Lissandra actually hasn't been able to go for a ward yet. It'd be incredibly risky for Sylas to go for a gank through all these minions when I have cleanse, I still have corrupting pot, he doesn't know where Rek'Sai is. It'd be a really iffy gank. Now, on the other hand, if I had a farming jungler, then this would probably be a different story. Then I would have to be a little bit more careful. Then the Sylas would probably know that, the jungler's not going to be in the area, maybe not ready to counter gank, and then, it might be an optimal gank. But on the other hand, I've considered this. And I've made that hypothesis. And remember, guys, League of Legends, in terms of improving, it's all about having a hypothesis. I've come in and this was my hypothesis in the game. I thought that I couldn't get ganked. And if I did get ganked, that would be amazing. Then Sylas ganks me, I die, and then I can look in the review and be like, you know what, Curtis? You actually disrespected Sylas's early gank threat. You disrespected Lissandra's claw into stun into X. You disrespected Sylas's path. Maybe you miscalculated his path. Whatever it is, then I can start to pinpoint what's actually going wrong in my thought process. What variables am I not considering? That's how I'm actually going to improve. But if I were to just do this with an autopilot derp state, then that's going to be a completely different story, guys. Now, while I'm on this, I want to riff on a little bit about this. You would be so surprised, guys, how many players out there, I would say 98% of players play each solo queue game in derp state, autopilot. I even do it myself sometimes. Now, I'm going to use the word derp state. I actually got it from another video somewhere. I just found it really, really funny. And what I mean by derp state is we're literally just playing with no hypothesis, and all we're doing is we're just not thinking. We're literally just playing. We're playing a game. We're not actively using our prefrontal cortex to have rational thoughts. Okay? This is actually a different part of your brain gets engaged when you start to actually have, rational conscious thoughts. Okay? So an example of that would be, me pushing here, not even thinking about the jungle, not thinking about warding. I'm in La La Land somewhere, and then, I got ganked. Whoops, I didn't think about that. And then I go into the next game, and then the same thing happens, and then the same thing happens, and then before you know it, you lost 3 or 4 games in a row. You go on my Discord, you say, Curtis, I'm tilted, my teammates suck. And then and then I ask you, were you really, really focused playing the games? Oh, no, I was actually listening to music and actually alt-tabbing in Facebook in between my games, during my game. And then it's so funny, and I want to really talk about this a lot within my videos, a lot more, because I think it is a massive problem for a lot of you guys out there, and a huge reason as to why you don't improve. And it may sound ridiculous. You may think I'm going crazy. You know, crazy Coach Curtis is going off on one of his rants. I promise you that if you can even have the first 10 or 15 minutes of a game playing while focused, it's gonna be light and day. So I'm gonna pose this as a challenge for you guys that are actually watching this video. If you can play 3 games a night, where the first 15 minutes of each game you are hyper focused. I'm talking, you're looking at your timing stuff, you're thinking about jungle pathing, you're doing warding on time, you're thinking about your champion identity, where you want the wave, you're manipulating waves, you're thinking about side lane awareness, you're thinking about tethering, the quality, you're rationing out your mana, getting perfect bases, you're in base, you're thinking about tempo, all these things. If you can do all this for 15 minutes of a game, the first 15 minutes of a game for 3 games in a row per night, if you can do that, and I want you to get back to me personally, actually DM me personally on Discord, and you say you can do that, and it hasn't had any effect on the quality of your games or your ability to improve or, you know, anything, it has no change, then I'll just give you money. I'll just PayPal you money, all right? We'll sort out some sort of arrangement. I guarantee it will have an insane effect on your gameplay. I know I've kind of gone on a bit of a detour, a bit of a riff here, but I just think it is really, really important. Anyway, getting back into it. Now, yeah, so I'm very conscious that Sylas could gank me, but my hypothesis is that he wouldn't, and he'd be very deterred to make that decision. So I'm pushing this guy in, resetting the wave. Now I'm looking to get my ward on top side, given that I'm assuming Sylas has done a bot to top, pretty standard clear, given that their bot lane leashed level 1. Now I've got my ward out, and this is where I can start to play a little bit more aggressively. Now, something that you need to do a lot more when you're playing Electrocute Twisted Fate is you need to be very conscious of this passive. I believe it's the E the E passive. Now, this E passive will help you very much with trading. And so notice whenever I have this passive up, you'll see it that I actually start to play a lot more aggressively. So now here I get the blue card with the passive. Now this is exactly what you want to be looking for. Blue card with the E passive. That's how you get really, really good trades off. And now you're going to start to see me push the pace of the game. Look at that. Every single time my E passive was up, I actually walk forward and actually look for a trade, auto attack, proc my electrocute. They're the sorts of trades you want to be looking to take. And again, notice how aggressively I'm playing compared to all my other VODs where I'm playing Twisted Fate. Like, and this is when this is the way you got to start playing Twisted Fate when you're taking electrocute. You can't just sit back and farm to your catalyst, although that is viable. It's just if you're doing that, then there's just no point in taking electrocute. You want to be looking for these extended trades. Now, a few things, guys, something to note is that when you go the blue card trade like this, yes, it is more damage, but you have to remember that you're not going to be able to really proc your electrocute if you do these blue card trades. Whereas if you do the gold card trades, you'll see in a second, the gold card trades are actually a lot better with electrocute because you can actually have the extra auto attack and Q like that where you can proc the electrocute. Something to note, guys, why the TF buffs actually weren't as big as I thought they were going to be is because you'd be surprised how many times you actually use gold card over blue card anyway, even throughout mid game. Like a lot of the time you're entering a fight, you're going in, you're stunning someone, you're doing your combo, and then that's it. But remember, guys, the buff was actually the biggest buff was on the blue card ratio, and yes, there was a bit of a change on the red card, but we predominantly just use blue and gold. Now, gold card is mainly the card we use in mid to late game, and in terms of laning phase, you don't have enough AP to warrant the buff or make the buff change anything about your trading. Because again, it's a ratio change, so you need a lot of AP to actually make the ratio be significant. So it's more of like a quality of life buff, guys. So again, every single time I have my E, look at that, I was trying to walk up and proc it. Now, this is actually a big mistake here. If I were to review this is a no-no. Why is this bad? Well, again, my jungler's top side, my vision's top side, I'm actually leaning on the bot side like this. I'm making myself extremely vulnerable. I think this is really bad by me. This is something I would look at and review. Even though I didn't get punished for it, I could have easily gotten punished for that. So that's a naughty Curtis. Bad boy. So I'm dematting, trying to constantly keep this Lissandra pushed in. So Lissandra's going to have to use abilities on the wave. I'm able to take more aggressive trades. And, you know, if a 2v2 skirmish breaks out, I'm going to get there first. Because with this Electrocute TF, I want those 2v2s. So my jungle's on bot side like here. I get a nice another little blue card. Trying to poke this guy as much as I can, but not go too crazy in terms of mana usage. Then I see my Rek'Sai come over the Raptor wall here. So what I actually do, I actually ping my my W cooldown. It's very important to ping your W cooldown when your junglers are looking to gank. So then I use my auto attack on him with my passive. Again, I'm playing quite defensively here, trying to bait him in a little bit. Then I flash forward, chain CC, and we get a nice little kill here. And this is exactly the sorts of things that, again, you want to be looking to do when you're playing Electrocute TF. You notice how in my other videos when I play Twisted Fate, I don't do that at all. You very rarely see an early gank in my VODs. I generally just farm till, you know, 6 minutes, swap to my Sunsealed Spellbook, get my Catalyst, and then I'll start to play for ultimates. This style of Twisted Fate is very much, you know, more heavy trading, more you know, using aggressive cards, utilizing your E passive, auto attacking them a lot more, playing around vision, playing around your jungler. Now, something to note, guys, in terms of itemization is that you don't always have to base on 1100 gold if you're playing Electrocute Twisted Fate. Blasting Wand is actually quite good on Electrocute Twisted Fate. So if you do get an early base, you don't always have to go, you know, Ruby Crystal, Sapphire, and a Dark Seal or something. You can actually just straight up go Blasting Wand and a Pink Ward. Yes, it is a little bit more crazy, but again, given that you're playing towards mid 2v2s, if you can get away with it and you're in a low range matchup, you're confident with your Twisted Fate, Blasting Wand is also fine. I still opt for Catalyst and tier 1 boots and a Pink Ward. I think Pink Wards are still absolutely essential on Twisted Fate specifically, and especially if you're playing towards mid jungle 2v2s. And the other thing, I like boots in TF on general because Twisted Fate is one of those champions that really wants, I mean, he's skill shot reliant, he's tethering reliant, and especially when you're playing this Electrocute TF, you really want to be able to get in their range, close the gap, and proc and get in range to actually use blue cards on them and gold cards. Now here I pan my camera mid to look for tempo. I know that Lissandra does have tempo on me, guys, so remembering if you've seen my other VODs here, Lissandra's already TP'd back while I'm already basing, so Lissandra basically has a crap load of tempo onto me. So I pan my camera mid, then I look at the bot situation, then I'm like, well, Lissandra's actually only level 5. He's not level 6. The bot situation looked fine. We actually saw Sylas on bot river here, you can see on the minimap. So I actually thought that Lissandra would actually roam bot side. So I ping bot side. I ping that he's gone bot side, I ping missing. So I was quite confident that he either reset again for maybe a ward or an extra item or whatever, or maybe he's actually trying to lean bot side to look for a dive. But given we saw them on vision, I don't think, and we had the scuttle on bot side, I thought that things were going to be okay. Now, what I didn't, and I actually saw that we had top scuttle as well. So I thought, well, maybe he's probably just reset. So I start pushing, and the reason I push, guys, because I want to force Lissandra to get back into lane. If I were to slow push this, it's telling the enemy laner that I have plenty of time to make a play and come back to mid. But if I don't know where he is and you want your opponent to come back to mid, you want to just push, to make them make a decision. Yo, crap, Curtis is pushing. Well, they're not going to know I'm Curtis, but Twisted Fate's pushing, and I got to get back to mid lane. Now, you'll see in a second what my big mistake was, is that Lissandra ends up roaming top. Now, I could have actually foreseen this. If I was better at my side lane awareness, I think this is actually a little bit of weakness of mine. I, a lot of the time, only look at bot lane. For some reason, I have this fascination with bot lane. Purely because maybe I'm scarred with getting the 80 carry fed and then taking over the game. But I don't even pan my camera once top lane to see how heavy they're trading. If I looked top and made an effort to look top, I would have saw that Darius was below half HP and was actually heavy trading a lot. And I believe he hasn't even base yet, which means that he's playing aggressively, maybe looking for a solo kill, then looking to base, or maybe looking to get unfreeze a frozen wave. I don't know. I don't even know what's happening. If I had known that information, I probably could have put 2 and 2 together. Oh, Lissandra's obviously looked top because the wave's frozen top. Darius is heavy trading. That's a free kill. And I could have saved my Darius's life. Now, you may ask, you may say things like, "Oh my god, but I pinged missing. That's my teammate's fault." No, like I did not ping Darius's side at all. I didn't. And what I actually do, if you see a lot of my VODs, is I do this. I do the ping, ping, ping. I actually do the direct path that they will take, so it gives them plenty of warning and plenty of information in order to respect that roam. So I take full and utter complete responsibility for this roam, and that's on me. And this is something that I would definitely review. And you don't just look at it like this. You don't just look, oh yeah, Curtis, you just didn't ping out properly. It's all good. It's just one little mistake. No, you break it down a little bit further, guys. So you can just look at it at face value. At face value, it's, no, you didn't ping out the Lissandra roam. But there's so many other factors at play, guys. Was your breakdown, was it that you didn't know that Lissandra had tempo? You didn't pan your camera mid, didn't know he had tempo? Was it the fact that you didn't know that champion could roam? You didn't even think about that champion's speed of roaming? Was it that you thought that he didn't have the ability to push out the mid wave fast enough to roam? Did you think you would get to mid lane fast enough? Was it that you actually didn't look at the side lanes? Was it that you didn't use pings? Was it that you weren't thinking about any of that? Guys, and you can kind of see where my breakdown was. My breakdown is that I knew he had tempo, I used pings, I looked at bot lane, but I just genuinely thought that he wouldn't, I just didn't think he would go top because he wasn't 6. And more importantly, I actually didn't even have the information to see top was heavy trading. So for me, it was, I didn't look at both side lanes. And that's where that process broke down. And then that would be something I'd make a note in my notepad saying, okay, that's interesting. Let's see if that's a trend. And I'll play a few games. And if I thought that was a trend, then maybe that's something I can focus on. Maybe my side lane awareness out of base needs work. And that's something I can have as a sticky note under my monitor. And you know what, Curtis? That's something you should probably work on. So, yeah, that's how I would recommend breaking down. Don't just look at it at face value. What contributed to that mistake actually happening? Okay? And I'm hoping other people on the other side of the monitor are saying, yes, Curtis. Yes, Curtis, I'm listening. I'm not just zoning out. So here my response is, okay, I've accepted reality that Lissandra's actually got that roam off. So what's my response? I want to punish this Lissandra by potentially getting a plate. Now, something that's interesting here, guys, is that, and you'll see this a lot with a lot of players, and this is just my take on League of Legends in general. You may say, okay, if Lissandra's going top, why don't you go bot? But again, I'm very strict with the decision making on my champion. I know I don't really want to roam pre-6. And especially because Rek'Sai is not anywhere near, it doesn't look like the fight's actually going to be that favorable. And again, I would just get pinged off anyway. And I believe bot haven't reset either. I would way rather just get this plate mid, deny more farm to Lissandra, get the push on mid, farm to my 6, get really, really far ahead of this Lissandra, so then I can make a more calculated ultimate or calculated roam to the side lane. And then Rek'Sai ends up going bot, they end up trading a bunch of kills, and I believe they trade like 2 for 2 or 3 for 2, whatever it is. And I start making my way down, but again, what am I thinking in this moment? I really don't want to go to this play. I really, really don't want to go to this play because I know Lissandra's in mid lane can flank me. I know Aatrox has gone here. I know also that I don't have Flash, which is a massive, massive piece of information for Twisted Fate, given that I'm an immobile mage. So again, I actually leave this Yuumi, even though he's pinging me, help me, Curtis, let me get on you. I'm like, nah, I think I should leave you alone because again, if I went too close, Lissandra was right there. Aatrox is right there chasing me down. I don't have Flash. If I die, then it's a shit show, okay? So you may, and so this is interesting. This is something I would review. I would actually get the global VOD, and I would actually look at, you know, Curtis, should you have actually roamed to this? What was your assessment of the play like? One criticism of my own gameplay, this is something that I'm genuinely trying to work on. I should have panned my camera bot way more in this situation. I actually don't think I had enough information to make the accurate, the proper call in this play. I actually think that I panned a little bit. I kind of saw it, but in my mind, I feel like I'd already made the decision up without properly considering the situation, but purely because this is probably a habit of being such a strict Twisted Fate player with myself and getting punished so much from, you know, having poor quality ults that I just want to play to 6. But I don't think that's a really good way of playing League of Legends. I think I should be a lot more adaptable. And I think I definitely should have at least pan my camera a lot more bot. So that is another thing that I would write down as a Curtis. You know, you're not able to actually make these proper roam calls if you're not willing to pan your camera bot side more. And then you can ask, okay, it could be like this. Did you not pan your camera because you're not comfortable physically moving your fingers onto, do you not have the right binds, or if you physically can't do it? Is it just not a habit in that sense? Or is it, you know, maybe you pan your camera but you're not able to process information? Or is it you're just, again, just autopiloting? What is going wrong with your decision making? What is going wrong in this game? Okay. And another, I'll give you guys a neat little trick as well. Let's just say I don't roam bot. They end up, they go 3 for 2, and maybe their Kai'Sa gets a triple kill. Okay, in review, I would go to this point, look at where Kai'Sa gets a triple kill, and then I would actually start rewinding and say, okay, how did I contribute to this situation, or what steps could I have taken to minimize this from happening? Was it that Lissandra had tempo mid? Could I have actually panned my camera bot earlier and roamed earlier? Could I have pinged something out? How did I contribute to this situation by, you know, letting Lissandra affect this somewhat? How did I contribute in any way possible? Even if it's the smallest thing. And reverse engineering the solution or something that you can focus on is a really, really effective way of kind of figuring out what's going wrong in your games. Now, I've come back here, and it's just me versus Lissandra at the moment, on in a bit of an isolated 1v1. But again, notice how aggressively I'm playing like right now. I get my passive auto attack, trying to proc my electrocute. I'm not just standing back here looking to just throw Qs at this Lissandra. I know that I can get up in her face. You know, I stat check her. I've got an item advantage. I'm playing Electrocute Twisted Fate. I can stat check her. If she wants to play for the wave and fix the wave, I'm going to punish her for that. Don't stand there like a bitch, letting her just get the wave in front of you. And this is actually a huge problem that I see players actually do in so many elos. Is that they look at this. The Lissandra walks up and cues the wave like this. Then the Twisted, I'd see that the mid laner I'm reviewing, they will start pathing backwards. No, dude, this guy just uses his ability in your face. This is where you need to punish, and this is where you start walking up. This is where you auto attack, proc my electrocute. Make them get, like, you got to punish them. This is where the windows happen. When the enemy uses their ability, that's your trading window. So, now I start to use my pink bot side because, again, I want to be playing towards bot side because Darius died top, so I'm assuming Darius is actually losing the tops, will lose the top 1v1 now. I think this is an incredibly lazy ward. This is bad, Curtis. Don't do this. Learn from my mistakes, guys. This is what I talk about in my warding fundamentals guide. If I was a little bit more, you know, less lazy, maybe less autopilot-y, I would walk up and I should actually get the ward on the Raptor camp. And I only put this pink here because I'm playing Twisted Fate, and I kind of like this ward as Twisted Fate at the moment because it just generates a lot of threat earlier. Because people panic as soon as I walk into this bush, they think that I'm ulting, but in reality, I'm just sitting here. But again, either this or this is completely fine. Now, again, I just want to keep pushing this Lissandra in. Because I know that she doesn't have teleport. It's going to be really hard for her to get back into lane and reset. Here, I accidentally get a gold card. I missed 3 CS in this wave, so that's really, really bad. Kai'Sa gets caught here. I didn't end up using ult because I didn't need to. I knew that Rek'Sai already had the kill. So, I saved my ult there, which is good. Now, Sylas shows top. And I know this is an isolated 1v1, so I'm keep pushing him in. I know this Lissandra really wants to reset. And I know that he doesn't have teleport, so if I can keep him pinned in lane, I know that he's going to have a really hard time. And I'm going to be able to get tempo on him, and then I'm going to be able to get a reset, and then I'm going to be able to get maybe a free ultimate. So I'm able to punish this guy with a few auto attacks, Qs, I'll proc my electrocute there, quite nice. And I'm constantly just pummeling this tower. Now, this is another neat little trick here, guys. When you're trying to get tower damage, what you can actually do is select red card, and then start walking back, thinking that the AoE, and hoping that the AoE would actually affect them when they're CSing under tower. You can kind of see me try and do it here. I red card and then walk back. He actually walks out of the red card range, unfortunately, but you can kind of see what I'm going for there. Now, Darius, I believe, did Darius die or did he just get shoved out? Yeah, Darius ended up dying to a gank, but he trades 1-for-1 with the jungle, which is really good. Now, I end up just keep shoving in here. I think my Rek'Sai is on the enemy Raptors, so I feel quite safe at the moment. And I know that Sylas just died, so I know he's not going to be here quite yet. So then I decide, you know what? I'm not quite yet at enough gold for Roa, so I really want to stay to my 1500 gold. So I'm trying to stay to 1500 gold here, thinking that Lissandra just based. My Rek'Sai was just in the area. Should be all good to get another plate, which means I'd be able to get my Roa very soon. And what do I know? Aatrox comes down and end up getting collapsed on, and I end up dying here. Now, this was a big mistake for me, and this is something that I would look at again. It's so funny. What is the key trend in the two mistakes this game? I've completely disregarded top lane. I've barely panned my camera topside. Yes, I've like maybe got this mental barrier in my mind where I'm just tunnel visioning on bot side. I'm just deleted top lane from my brain. Now, it's actually bit me in the ass twice this game. It's actually allowed my Darius to get killed, which maybe forced him to blow flash earlier, which then maybe forced him to die to that second gank. Maybe if he had flash, he would have survived that second gank. But more importantly here, top had move. Yes, he didn't ping, but again, I should take responsibility. I should be assessing all variables here. If Lissandra's based, I know Lissandra's based in this situation, there's nothing else for me to think about rather than threat assessment. Who's threatened me? Who's on the map? Where's everyone? I knew that Sylas probably wouldn't come here, you know, because he couldn't really push me out 1v1. So I thought if Sylas would be fine, but I did not think at all about top lane. Guys, this is massive. This is all on me. This is all on me. And now another little interesting thing to think about is if I had unsealed Spellbook, I may have actually swapped this flash to a heal or a ghost. So I got to take into account the opportunity cost of picking the loss of potentially picking Electrocute. I maybe survive this gank potentially if I had heal or ghost. I don't know. It's just something to also think about in the background. But then I die here, so that's all on me. And I actually kind of contribute this whole thing to autopilot. I believe that I just wasn't thinking enough. So I can look at this mistake from two angles. I can look at it from the angle of, okay, Curtis, what were you actually thinking in this point in time? I might actually not know. Maybe I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I was only thinking about jungle. But maybe for you guys, your problem is you're not thinking about any threat assessment. You're not thinking about anyone's location on the map. I did think about my jungler's location, so I thought he was around mid, so I had that false sense of security. But again, what you should be thinking is, what was the variable that was missing with this mistake? Was it you weren't thinking about your jungler's location? You weren't thinking about the top laner's location? You weren't thinking about the jungle? Maybe you thought about all of them and you just thought they genuinely couldn't kill you, which is a great problem to have. That means your awareness is really good, but your threat assessment is just a little bit off. So again, all of these are differing examples of mistakes, and everyone has, and everyone has differing things missing in their league knowledge or their level of play. Maybe if you're in silver, you didn't think about any of this. Maybe if you're in diamond, you just didn't think about the top lane. Whatever it is, and that's great, as long as you're identifying what's going wrong, guys. What is missing in your checklist? What is missing, which is actually creating these mistakes. So here I've panned my camera. I know that Lissandra has moved, so I instantly ping topside, thinking that we had vision on bot side already, so I knew that he could only go top side, but then he just shows back mid. So I was very lucky there. Then I see Sylas top side, which is really good to think about. Whenever the jungle shows to anywhere, you need to be thinking that and processing that as information. So right now, what I was actually thinking was I really wanted to keep this Lissandra in lane here. Because I saw that there was a 2v2 breaking out mid. So I'm like, oh no, Lissandra's actually roaming. And then as soon as I see Lissandra here, I'm like, alright, just go on him. Now, I actually think this was a mistake by me. I genuinely think this was a mistake. Now, yes, and this is the next level of reviewing. I'll play it out first, guys, and then I'll play it again and tell you why I thought it was a mistake. So what do we see on the minimap? We see Rek'Sai and Darius looking for a 2v2 topside versus Aatrox and Sylas. Now, Lissandra shows mid here. And they end up winning the 2v2 topside, I believe, or they get a nice little double kill. I end up chasing this Lissandra all the way out. They actually trade 1 for 2. 2 for 1, whatever. Now, why I think this was a mistake from me is that when I'm coming out of base like this, I saw that this was going on. But what I actually should have done, I actually should have left all this farm and continued to chase Lissandra, or even just walk straight this way and keep that top 2v2 as an isolated 2v2. Now, if this Lissandra was really good, he's got me pushed in, he would have actually now just started instantly leaning topside and leaning for that potential skirmish. But he didn't. He actually just went back mid. And if he went to that fight, he could have got there quite quickly with his E. He could have got there. He might have actually saved his Aatrox under tower. And so, this actually would have been, and then I would have been like, wait, oh shit, Lissandra's actually there. I could have stopped him. That's my bad. And that would have been a huge mistake. So, yes, nothing actually happened, but this sort of review, this in-depth review, you can actually point out mistakes in your gameplay before the mistake even happens. So I remember feeling this in the game, thinking this was a mistake, but I really wanted to review this to think, you know what, this was actually a really big mistake. And you know why? You know what I actually missed here and why this was a mistake for me? Is because I actually was autopiloting here. I came back to lane and I wasn't even thinking about that top 2v2 skirmish. That's the reality of the situation. It feels shit for me, ego-wise, feels really bad. You know, that's a terrible decision. That's just bad gameplay. And so, yes, it feels bad to say that, but that was my level of play within this game. And maybe that's one of my big problems, which is autopiloting. And for me, a personal problem is I do autopilot in lower quality games. When I'm on a Smurf account, when I'm not really playing on my main, I do actually play at a lower level of play because I have an inherent disrespect for my opponent, which makes the game not as fun because I'm kind of bored, which leads to autopilot. And that is a problem that I've identified. And right there was the product or the result of my autopilot. I was not on the ball, and Lissandra could have gone for a potential roam there. And I know I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, and nothing even happened. But this is the quality and the standard of review that you guys need to engage if you want to take your game to the next level. So right now, I've got some really nice solid trades onto this Lissandra. Now I'm panning my camera bot side, knowing that Lissandra can't really stop me. She's quite low. I was going to look alt bot, but my AD carry and support actually backed off. So I just went back mid. Trying to shove this guy in. Keep him shoved in. Force his TP back mid if he has it. Because if I force his TP back mid, then that's going to relieve pressure for the rest of the map. Notice again how I'm using the red card so I can poke him and get tower. Yes, I take a tower hit for it, but you kind of see the premise. I get another plate. And now I looked for a quick reset for my rower. Because I really want to get stacking my rower as soon as possible. And the reason I don't end up helping this Rek'Sai doing Rift, I mean, my hypothesis was Lissandra also had to recall. And they just all died topside. I think this Rek'Sai should be okay to be able to get this on the back end. If Lissandra was really healthy, then I would also stay. So now, I believe I have a little bit of tempo on this Lissandra, so I come back mid. I'm not too worried about Lissandra coming back to mid first, but I'm just, again, keeping my camera pan mid just to see if Lissandra does get there before me. I've got my rower now. Things are looking really good. And I've got both summoners. Beautiful. So now, I want to really start using my ultimate. I actually haven't used my ultimate yet, and that is the way I play Twisted Fate. I'm not a massive ultimate-focused Twisted Fate player. I'm very much focused on having the few ultimates I have are really good quality ones, rather than heaps of sloppy, skirmishy, you know, cruddy ones. You know, that's just my philosophy on playing Twisted Fate. Here, so now I'm just leaning in my pink ward, out of vision. I actually should have checked that dot bush. That's actually one mistake there. I should have checked that dot bush to see if it was actually warded. So I'm just keeping my camera pan mid, seeing the situation. I know that we had this ward here, so I know that Lissandra isn't going to roam bot, or if he does, then, you know, we're going to spot him ages away. I see him on that ward, I ping, and then my teams are respecting. I know I have ultimate, so I'm just trying to get this wave in as soon as possible. Make Lissandra miss as much farm as possible. And I know my team's backing up. And so then I start to hover a little bit because I thought they were just forcing. But then I realized that they're all good. He gets out. So I just continue to deny this Lissandra farm. And you may ask, and this is actually a really, really important thing. You may ask, How come you don't just ult bot or counter gank that? Why don't you just take the fight bot? Even if we're stronger. We might even be stronger. Is because, how is that playing with TF's strength? TF's strength is creating man advantage with ultimate. Yes, I may be able to ultimate here, take the 4v4 fight. It may even be a decent fight. We may actually trade 3 for 1 or whatever it is. I would rather not take that trade whatsoever, deny this Lissandra heaps of farm, get myself really far ahead, then when Lissandra comes back, I can guarantee that I'm going to get a good skirmish off, creating a man advantage, and, you know, I don't need to force these scrappy 3v3 or 4v4 skirmishes. And you'll see in a second, because I held my ultimate, I played patient, I wait for a better opportunity, which again, works for me better in the long run. That's what I'm always thinking. I'm always tying back actions to the strength of Twisted Fate's kit. And the strength of Twisted Fate kit, and especially as you get towards more towards mid-game, is creating man advantage. And that's exactly what you want to be doing. This guy, okay, now this was a mistake by me. I knew that Sylas was around bot side somewhere because he showed on that scuttle. When Lissandra ultimates me here, I think I just panic cleansed. But I knew that Rek'Sai was here. There's no way I was going to die to anything. So I feel like this was just a panic cleanse for me, and this was a big mistake for me. I don't know why. I think Lissandra just frustrated and wanted to just blow my cleanse just so this threat on me eventually. But yeah, I blew cleanse, and he has no ultimate now, I guess. So, yeah, it is what it is. Now, we take a 2v2 skirmish, we stun, chain CC, beautiful 100 to 0. Then I try and chunk this guy as well on the back end with a gold card, so I can also get some auto attacks off as well. But it ends up being a pretty nice 2v2, and that's exactly what you want to be doing with Twisted Fate. Now, top actually ends up getting a kill, which is really nice. End up handing over my blue buff. I go back mid. And what happens here? I'm happy to contest the wave with him, knowing that he doesn't have ultimate. Then I pan my camera bot side. I see them rifting, knowing that that's where the play is going to be. And then I start ulting. Bang. Beautiful. Get a stun. We end up killing this Kai'Sa. Beautiful. And then we end up killing this Sona as well on the back end. And all of this wouldn't have been possible, I believe, if I had used my ultimate earlier for that previous fight. And this is exactly the quality of the ultimate that you want to be doing. Obvious man advantage. You shoved in the wave. There's no counterplay. Your jungler's in the area. You know you can clean it up. You know you can get objectives off the back end as well. It's not just a kill in isolation. It's a tower as well with the Rift Herald. We can utilize this Rift Herald for the next tower as well. Lissandra as well doesn't have ultimate, so she can't really even follow even with TP, and she doesn't have TP in the first place, I believe. So this was a really, really valuable ultimate where we get so much from it. And this is just my philosophy on Twisted Fate. They're the Twisted Fate ultimates that I love. I'm a big advocate of spending the time. Yes, maybe I miss a few opportunities, but when I do get a good ultimate, it will pay dividends over all the potential, average ultimates that I could have done. So here, what actually happens? Okay, this is actually a little mistake, and it may seem small, but it's big in my books. We make this play, the Rift Herald finishes, the wave's done. This is just all bad. Right now, I should literally just be resetting. This is all a waste of tempo, in my opinion. Going for these weird little plays, I really don't like it. Right now, MF's backing off. I've got a lot of gold. Lissandra is pushing out mid. Dragon's up. There's so much to do. This all of that little, I don't even know what that is. Just threatening. It's just a waste of time. Play for tempo, guys. I should make the call, and it's a big waste of tempo from there on my behalf. So now I end up going into the side lane. This is where things get a little spicy, and this is where I really want to talk about the mid game stuff, because I think there was a few really interesting fundamentals that I haven't spoken about in terms of mid game in this VOD. So I go to the side lane here. Now, what's the first thing that I see? The first thing that I see is that I see my jungler is actually making his way up top side right now. So I'm actually aware of this. I know my jungler's on the top side of the map right now. I know that my AD carry is base, so I got to play a little patient right now. I place a pink in here just to give myself a little bit of safety. Then I place a ward over there. And again, I know that my AD carry is on the map at the moment, and I know my jungler is on top side. Now, when Sylas shows here, guys, I know that Lissandra's bot, so I know it's only Sylas and Aatrox. Now, you may ask, you don't beat this Sylas 1v1. But I know that my Yuumi and Rek'Sai in the area, if I take this fight and I bait them in right now, my team's going to be able to back me up if they commit, and then we're able to get a nice little skirmish and a double kill, all off me being aware of my teammates. So this whole play started in my mind, I would say, here. When I knew that my jungler was on Raptors, and I knew that it was pathing topside, so I knew that if something broke out, my jungler was in the area. So I placed my pink here, and so if something does happen, so if the player, like the Sylas shows, I've already primed myself mentally to be like, you know what, we can actually contest these fights, because I know my jungler's in the area. Rather than, rather than the Sylas shows, then I have to think, oh, where is everyone? Can we kill him? Can we go? Can we know? Then you may actually miss an opportunity to go for a play. So what actually happens here, I go for a gold card, and I'm fearless. I literally walk through him. Bait him on me. The Sylas uses everything. He ends up getting one shot, and then we're able to take this fight. So this is interesting. This is... Again, that does... I don't even know what to contribute that down to. It is a bit of game sense, but more importantly, I think it's just... Once you're in the side lane, it is extremely important to be aware of your teammates' location. Not just thinking about where the enemy jungler and the enemy players are. You need to be thinking about where your teammates are. And this is what can happen if you are aware. So I'm able to kill them. I'm able to start to push out the side wave. I'm able to get this tower because Aatrox is dead. And I'm able to continue to push out here. Because I see Kai'Sa bot, I know that Aatrox is dead, I know that Sylas wouldn't be here for a while, so I'm able to continue to push out right now. So again, this is all just threat assessment, nothing too special, just threat assessment. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. I want to talk about this a little bit. So you may ask right now, Curtis, how come you don't reset? You have 1400 gold, you can get a Sheen, you can get another pink ward, maybe you can swap your trinket, whatever. How come you don't reset? And there's nothing really for me to do. Well, the main reason, guys, if I reset right now, what is that going to mean for the map? Look at this. My Rek'Sai just resets coming back on the map. My AD carry and support have no need to reset. They didn't even reset that long ago. They're pressuring mid. Looks like a play is most likely going to happen soon. This Rift Herald spawning soon. We've got full top river control. Darius is coming back on the map. Things are starting to happen. Now, if I were to just reset, randomly here, I'll just say I just reset. Well, Aatrox is going to be able to shove all the way out. If a fight breaks out, then, you know, I'm not going to be able to be there because I'm going to be in base. And my team is going to be a lot more hesitant to start pressuring and doing things, knowing that I'm not really in the area and I'm not ready to make a play happen. Now, if I stay on the map, I use this trinket, I use this thing, I stay on the map here, I'm able to keep waves pushed out. I'm able to prime myself. If a fight does break out, I'm able to ultimate as soon as something happens. So I'm priming my ultimate here. But more importantly, it's like I'm ready if something happens. And now this is an interesting concept. It doesn't kind of show too much in this VOD specifically, but you can see how timing your bases and being very cognizant of when you're basing in terms of when your team is pressuring, understanding that as a concept can really, really help you in terms of creating favorable positions. And again, this is a perfect example. I'm able to get the wave as it crashed, top lane straight away. We're able to make a pick on this Aatrox, given that I just stayed on the map. And these are the sorts of things that will happen when you're considerate of your team's location. And that is something that comes with time, and it's a bit of again another game sense or a mastery thing, but it is something that can really help you within mid game, guys. But let's just go back and let's just say maybe I could get my Lich Bane straight up. If it was a really big base, then maybe I should actually just recall quickly, ping my team back. I'm basing, communicate that with the team, and then come back on the map. But given it's only a Sheen, it's way better just to be on these waves as it crashes and yeah, just be ready to exert pressure on the map. And again, now, this is where I feel like I don't really take responsibility enough. So my team gets Rift Herald here. And I'm sitting on a lot of gold right now. I believe I can pretty much very, very close to my Lich Bane. I actually think that I should actually have told everyone to reset right now. I believe this is all an overstay. This whole play. So, think about it. What's actually happened in this time frame? I've been on the map for a long time. We've gotten kills. I believe we actually got mid tower. We got another kill here. We got Rift Herald. We've got a crap ton of side lane waves. In my opinion, the play is done. We've gotten towers. We've gotten everything. We've got Rift Herald. The play is done. Now, if you really want to ensure that you win a solo queue game, this is one simple thing that can change, be night and day, is just tell your team, let's reset. There's no need. Look, there's no need for us to just now continue to stay on the map, go mid, use Rift mid, push, 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 go, go, go. I'm sitting on a ridiculous amount of gold. I can nearly get my Lich Bane. I'm assuming Rek'Sai has a lot of gold. MF would have a decent amount of gold. Yuumi probably needs to refresh wards. It will be very valuable for us to reset together as a team right now, since we've done it all. But what actually happens is we all stay on the map. I'm sitting on a lot of gold. We're all sitting on a lot of gold. And the team ends up rifting mid. So I feel forced now, because I was literally thinking, I'm only going to stay if my team stays. That's what I was thinking. But what I realized is that I can't base now because they're committing. I don't want to base. I don't want to, like I said before, I don't want to base if my team's rifting mid. So I end up just grouping. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, you know what? Like, I wish we just reset. I'm sitting on a lot of gold. This is not what I want to do. I've got shutdowns. I don't want to give them that bounty. So I end up ulting bot here just through side lane awareness. I'm able to capitalize them all-inning on this Darius. But then what actually happens here is we end up killing him. But then my jungler dies. My AD carry dies, I believe. And I believe my Lissandra ends up getting a triple kill. And they get some shutdowns. You'll see in a second. Here, shutdown, 600 gold shutdown, and they kill the MF, and they kill the Yuumi. Now, I actually personally believe that none of that would have happened if I called the reset. And yes, maybe that's just my fault. I shouldn't have ulted bot. Maybe I should have just stayed group for this siege. Yes, that's another factor, guys, and I am aware of that. I'm just saying, as a more overarching concept that's more applicable to a lot of games, I've personally had a lot of success when we're ahead, especially is just telling the team to reset when I'm on a lot of gold, and it can really help you guys out in mid game. So that happens. They end up getting a triple kill. We got belt tower, we get mid tower, so we've got a lot of towers, but that just all of that nonsense should not have happened. So I end up coming back on the map, get my blue buff. I end up going onto the bot side here, knowing that Dragon's the next objective. Someone followed me. I'm actually recording using Streamlabs, so still get the notifications. So yeah, now I know the next objective is going to be this dragon, so I'm trying to keep the side lane pushed in here. So again, even if I don't have ultimate, I can still create some form of a man advantage, because if I'm able to push out this side lane, then they're going to have to catch these waves back at tier 2, then I'm going to be able to move, and we're going to have that little brief period where we're going to have a man advantage. Then I see Kai'Sa top, so I'm like, you know what? Like, I think this is pretty free for us to just get this dragon. I can continue to just... They don't even need me on the dragon. This is pinked. I can just play quite aggressively onto this Aatrox. So I thought they were just going to trade it off and go topside. So I ended up getting a nice little gold card, auto attack, proc my electrocute. Thought it was fine, but then they end up collapsing on me, and then I end up having to blow flash, blow my cleanse. So they use 2 ultimates, and then we end up chasing them on the back end here and getting a triple kill. Now, you may, like, if I were to review this, I feel like here I wasn't looking at the minimap enough. I saw Lissandra too late. This is one of those very weird decisions, because I really thought they were just going to trade off the dragon, and I really thought they couldn't kill me, because they had to use everything here. And I didn't even actually need to cleanse. I probably just had to blow flash. And like Sylas is catching waves mid, Sylas is catching waves mid, and Kai'Sa is catching waves top. And because my assessment was pretty good, they end up getting punished for it anyway. So yes, it's a bit of an overstep by me, but I was still confident in my decision making, thinking that if they did go for that play, they would get punished, and they did get punished. So I'm not too upset with that. So we end up sieging through, getting this inhibitor, and then going through back to top side. I continue to go in the side lane here. Now, one last point, a very crucial point, guys. I'm in the side lane. It's 20 kills to 10. We've got bot inhibitor. We're really, really fed. This is where most of the mistakes happen, guys. And this is where, for me personally, if it happens for me, I'm assuming it happens to you, this is where autopilot kicks in. This is where I recline the chair back. I'm playing with one hand. I've got my My arms on the back, my hands on the back of my head. I'm just leaning back, I'm chilling, starting to crack open a beer, I'm taking a chill. This is where you get sloppy. And look what happens here. I'm like, oh, I'm Curtis's Twisted Fate. I'm a beast. I go for this crappy Twisted Fate ult, and I just waste my Twisted Fate ultimate here. Now, this is what I call complacency. Yes, we end up winning anyway. But this is what you really need to be careful of, and especially in solo queue when you're versing comps that outscale you. Maybe Kai'Sa got that triple kill earlier on and already got a bounty, and then I go in here, waste my ultimate, we get caught out of position here. This was not calculated at all. I just tunnel vision on this Lissandra, a really bad ultimate, I just waste it. And this is where the enemy team can look for windows. This is where you can end up throwing. This is where you give bounties. Yes, it doesn't happen here, but the principle still stands, okay, guys? And I've had so many painful experiences where I've dropped the ball, I've took my hands off the keyboard, I'm just relaxed in autopilot, and like, oh yeah, it's a free win, guys, just chill. I get sloppy, and they get a few shutdowns, and then I'm coming back and winning the game, or dragging the game out to 40 minutes or something, and, making a really close, intense game when it didn't have to be. So, I mean, that is something, it is a bit idealistic in the sense that, staying hyper-focused for that long and that many games, but it is something that I'm personally still working on to this day, and I've been playing the game for such a long time, and I guarantee you, if you can at least start to become conscious of that, it will help you in your game. So, I'm going to leave it there, guys. I know this was a little bit of an odd video, and I just really I kind of wanted to use this video to rant a little bit, and I just found it quite interesting. I'm still working on my Echo Guide, guys, but again, to reiterate some of the points in this video, interesting thought exercise. Think about, just take 2 minutes and listen to this. Think about how many games, or even just actually outside of League of Legends, how many minutes in a day, or how many hours in a day, of the 24 hours in a day, are you in a derp state? Autopilot. Just, all you're doing is feeding your biological needs. I'm hungry. I'm horny. I'm tired. I want coffee. I want to sleep. I want to watch Westworld on HBO. I want whatever it is. How many of your actions in a day are autopilot or just derp state? Now, if you can change that, or at least for the time that you're focusing in solo queue, have 2 or 3 hours, if you can, 2 or 3 hours of intense hyper-focus training. This will pay dividends for you in your improvement in solo queue. And it sounds a bit ridiculous, I know, but I promise you, and this is something that will not just help you in League of Legends, but it can help you be productive in any of your endeavors, whether it's study, whether it's gymming, working out, whatever it is, an art project, just whatever it is, be a little bit more conscious of your state. And this is something I want to explore a little bit more, and I'm still only, getting a little bit more familiar with it, but it is an interesting topic to think about. All right, guys, so hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, just message me on the Discord, drop a comment below in the YouTube YouTube comments section, and I will see you soon for my Echo Guide. Cheers.